Good afternoon. I'm Frans from Reep. I'm not a native speaker in English, so if I make mistakes, I apologize. Because of the speech of David Lloyd, where are you? Still here? On this ego thing, I would like to start with you with a little dream session that you have the real experience what deframing is about, what you're doing with your customers when you try to sell them or adapt them to social media. Is that okay? Okay, please close your eyes. Nothing important, I won't bite. I put you on a plane, and the plane flies from London to Cape Town. Okay, there's enough fuel aboard, so nothing goes wrong for the technicians around you. So London goes south after, say, 10 hours to Cape Town. We don't land there, we continue our flight in the same direction. Okay? What's the first country after Africa that you fly over? Who? Who knows it? Sorry? What's the first country after Cape Town?
Russia.
Going south.
Yeah, go south, yes.
America.
London, Cape Town, and then straight ahead. That's Antarctic. Okay? South Pole. We don't land in the South Pole, we continue our voyage in the same direction. What's the next country you pass? So you pass the Antarctic, you go further in that direction. You can't call that south anymore. What's the next country you will fly over? Who knows? Mind my question, who knows it?
Ireland.
Sorry?
Ireland. If the pilot says it, you know, because
Yeah, well, what's the first country you fly over after having passed the Antarctic?
The UK.
Do you know?
The UK. Same latitude.
New Zealand, UK. Who has another guess? Argentine? Okay. Okay, this is a question for 10-year-old children. And you're a very intelligent audience. Do you know why you don't know? Our tunnel, our frame is from west to east. We're used to look at a map, that's our mental frame. We're to look from west to east. Well, it's very simple. If you turn the map, say 45 degrees, all your knowledge is gone. That's how it is. Okay? As simple as that. And in paradigm shift, following paradigm shift, from research it turns out that very, very few people have the capability to implement a paradigm shift from themselves. You always need a support from outside. Okay? Who of you experienced this little nasty feeling when I raised my question?
What's the correct answer?
You can look up for yourself at home. Who of you have felt this nasty feeling that you were asked to answer a question for which you don't know the answer? This nasty feeling you didn't do your homework at school and you were sent to the blackboard, and then that feeling. You recognize it? That's your ego. That's your ego. And the essence of your ego, that's the reason I come up with this thing, because of David Lloyd. The essence of the ego is that it doesn't accept that you don't know something. And then you start just trying doing things. But never try to give an answer. It brings you in difficulty. It may bring you in difficulties. That's what the ego does. Okay? Well, what's the parallel with our theme on social communities? If you go to a company, a corporation, and you come up with social communities, and that type of thing, you ask your customer, you ask your audience to shift from west-east thinking into north-south thinking. And that's a very difficult question. You were not able to do it. So please be patient with the people you're going to talk with over. Okay? Well, what I would like to do with you the next 15 minutes is share 2 frameworks which perhaps might broaden your understanding of the transition which we are talking about today. And I have tried in the past to put in some quotes we've heard today from our outstanding speakers, to put in some quotes in those frameworks. And I hope those frameworks give you a broader understanding of what's going on. Basically, we're going from the 20th century lean and mean organization, which is mechanism and mechanism, to the 21st lean and meaningful, where people will become significant jobs, and where in the 20th century company, cooperation was a calculation. In the 21st century, it becomes again a personal choice with responsibility, with ownership. Well, what happens in Western society? Those 2 are my 2 mega trends. We've heard the word before. We go from top-down development to bottom-up development, and we go from push-oriented development, schedule push, towards reality pull. To give you an example from various arenas, European ruling, for example in the Netherlands, Mr. Balkenende is our Prime Minister, but in fact the man can't do anything. We go from European ruling to referenda. So in the political context, the problem is that the old system of top-down power doesn't work anymore, but the new system of end-user driven distributed power isn't in place yet. That gives a kind of power vacuum, and in this power vacuum we see the Al-Qaedas, the terrorists, and that kind of thing. Does it make sense for you? That's happening. It's exactly the same what happens in companies. Top-down ICT planning, the James Martin type of things, goes to what was perpetual betas. One said is prototyping. So the big planning thing is over. It doesn't work anymore. Marketing, we will envision the end of marketing. The whole idea of creating a annual marketing plan for the next year doesn't work anymore, because the world will have changed within 3-4 weeks. The whole concept of annual, dictated by the accountants, doesn't have any value anymore and will change. So everything becomes sales, and what we use to manage marketing is probably prototyping sales. And the rest of it is branding. Branding becomes very, very important. It may start top down there, but as we have experienced today, also branding will be a people's, employees' business and going to the community part. Top-down politics will be referendum. Innovation planning top-down. Do you know that 75% of top-down innovation is a failure? And 75% of end-user driven bottom-up innovation usually succeeds. That's where the Linux type of development is. That's where the wikis are. That's where corporate social networking is. That's where the wisdom of the crowd is. Okay? Well, to give you 2 concrete examples, for example, the newspaper. You know there's something happening in newspaper country as well. Also the newspaper, you see in the development to the right side, it's called block. Courts of justice, I don't know how it is in the UK, but in the Netherlands there's also a tendency that it goes down, more influence of civilians. For example, in the Netherlands we have Peter R. de Vries, you may have heard of him, a journalist. And on a private basis he does a lot of investigation and he has a lot of power. And that's a symptom of this movement. I hope the courts of justice will not end up in the write-down box, because that's called lynching. And that's what we did in the Middle Ages. Okay? Well, now afterwards I come with a lot of quotes Arjen and I selected, and we put them in this box. Well, big companies, small companies. In the Netherlands, the average size of companies is going down at a very high speed. And a point was mentioned before. A company is, of course, just a solution for a cooperation problem. And to create corporations, you have basically two means. One of is company, the other is called market. Well, the price for cooperation has come down tremendously because of the web and the internet. And that means that companies are not necessary anymore to structure cooperation. Well, this process is going on in many places in the Western world. Focus on continuity is shifting towards focus on flexibility. Companies like projects come and go. Rule-based behavior, like in banking, you've probably read about it, rule-based behavior, where you essentially don't take responsibility for your action, it's the rule who governs you, is being replaced by principle-based behavior. Well, that's also one of the themes we've heard a lot about today. Well, I will put out this list, what we've heard today, not number 3 and the last one. One thing we've heard today is, that's my interpretation, that more and more branding becomes more and more important, and the game is also about, if you're not seen, you're off. Because one of the games to be effective is take a lot of initiative, take a lot of action to be seen. If you're not seen, you're off. You can see that in the Google strategy. What they do is a very good effort to be a node, to be the hub of action. And if you're in the center, then you can dictate the agenda. That's what they basically do. And it's one of the central themes of the digital time and of the corporate social network. If you're not seen and you write down brilliant ideas in your own room at home, that's okay, but you can't turn it into money. If you want to be effective, if you want to make money out of it, it's necessary that people see you. That's also where the tweeting is coming from. The last point from this list, the web turns everyone into an entrepreneur. I guess that one of the basic effects of being seen and of the internet is that everyone has to take responsibility for what he is good at. And from this branding, from this small company thing, and from this need of being seen thing, you see that company branding becomes more and more personal branding. You have to behave as an entrepreneur, and you have to act upon what you're good at. Each one has A's, B's and C's on its personal record. And it's a very wise thing to invest a lot about that you know what your A's, B's and C's are. That's one, that's called personal development. And B, that you act upon it. To find your own core business. Well, that brings us to the quotes, and please put them in your mind in this box which was shown here before. So the left row is the 20th century type of company, the right row is future. Now we go from top-down marketing to unmarketing and webfulness for our first speaker. That's from the upper left box to down right. We go from planned strategy to ship it, wonderful words, to ship it and act. And not too much strategy, please, because it's planning. We go from mainframe thinking to a perpetual beta. That's the right things are also mentioned here today. We go from structured thinking to back to human. And structured thinking is, for example, that you're in a company that you're not you, but you are your job title. That the company is not interested in you, but just in your job title. It's a very expensive thing to do, because if you look at someone through the eyes of his job title, you see about 80% of what someone has to offer, you just don't see it. Just don't do that. In the 20th century is cooperation calculation. That's a spreadsheet way of doing business. The right side, cooperation is a personal decision for which you take responsibility and ownership. In the left side, we have a lot of silos. We have department, we have ministries in the political system, we have various disciplines in the scientific world. In the right side, we have this flowing, and I've used the word presencing from Peter Senge, Jan Polsky too. And presencing is a mental way of being in life, that you enlarge the context of an action, that you enlarge the interpretation, for example. For a corporate social network, for example, what David Lloyd did, that you put the anthropological view in it, that you put this psychological view in it, that you combine it with sociological view. Okay? That's presencing. That's all important for corporate social network. In the left column, there's mass. And that's in the right side, it's personalized. Mass production, personalized production. Mass job, personalized job. Please, you can fill it for yourself. The left side is about compliance. You have to act according to the rules. The right side, the game is about diversity. The left side is the ego, I'm special. In the right side, it's about togetherness, doing things together. So on the left side, it's also about survival of the fittest. And the right side is it about survival of the most cooperative. Now, to give you one data on this, just the shift from to the cooperation mode usually reduces the operation cost by about 30%. There's a lot to win just by the decision not to fight against each other, but just to cooperate. Oh, does it make sense? Are you with me? This is our all set today. Well, this brings me to the last part of my consider how much time is left. 2 minutes? Okay. Okay. Well, to give you a feel about what Susan said, this progress, the development of business practices, I created this picture. The West-East thinking we started with is in the under left box. Companies who handle usually simple events and who consider the world wherein they act as static, so tomorrow is the same as today. Those are usually the management and control companies. That is the type of companies we are being educated in. That's what we have been taught at school. That's the West East thinking. That's where we come from. That's our roots. Okay? Those type of companies usually survive on control excellence. They're very good at control. And if such a company wants to enhance their earning power, they will come up with ideas to improve control. Usually the finance director is a very important person there. Okay? Well, but what happens is, basically because of the internet, there are 3 extra boxes. And the battle is now, how do we, don't say that left under is stupid, but how do we enrich the heartbeats from the management of control type of company? How do we enrich with new possibilities stemming, for example, from corporate social networking? That's what the debate is about. This is the debate. Left down, you see the West-East thinking. Right up, you see more or less the corporate social networking thinking. And the togetherness around a target. From a psychological perspective, to give you a hint where we started with this is a dream game. You see what you're talking about. Left under is the basic psychological attitude is camouflage. Management is camouflage. Job title is camouflage. The basic game there is that you're not personally seen, that you're not take personal responsibility. You just do your rule-based job. That's West-East thinking. The invitation from the possibilities of corporate social networking is to stand up. Well, and you know what's so important and so difficult is? Camouflage, in fact, refers to our reptile brain. And our surviving strategy from our reptile brain is camouflage. And that is where 95% of the people is. Right up, stand up, that is our compassion brain, our togetherness brain. And the invitation to people to give up their reptile-based camouflage strategy and to stand up, that's quite a question. Please keep that in mind if you go to a company and you explain the possibilities of corporate social networking. You ask them to give up their very fundamental survival strategy. That's what you do. That's where the difficulties are. Keep that in mind and be very compassionate. Okay? Well, right under, I said, left under, that's the control excellence type of company. Right under, here in this, that's the operational excellence type of company. Left upper box, that's the outsourcing, that's the control excellence type of company. And the right up, that's the network organization, that's communicational excellence type of company. And we need all 4 types of excellence. And the struggle is about finding a new balance. Okay, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you for the interest.